All right, today we're talking Pyware 3DX, and we're going to get into a little setup guide. I've got a PDF on my website, and I'll put it in the link to the description of this video. And essentially, it's going to just highlight a way to get your Pyware 3DX customized and set up for a new file, and how to create a template for that so that you can open it up with that every time and use that for your writing. So let's just jump right in. When opening 3DX, you have a couple different things that you can start with. I recommend going to the display settings and making your display the size that you want. I use 80%. So 80% kind of brings the toolbar and some of the other things down. I also like to put my toolbar ribbon at the bottom, but that's just me. I like to click between my presets down at the bottom. Okay, so you can kind of look at that and play with that as you will. You'll probably be starting a new drill. When starting a new drill, of course, you'll have the new file wizard. Click in the file name and set up your own file. East West High School 2026. Opener, something like that. And then as soon as you click to the next one, it will make that the drill title. Now, if you want to make that something different, say you don't want the this to be as long, you can just do EWHS or whatever. It'll make that, and that's what will show up at the top of your file. Now, if you're writing a longer movement, you can make your drill counts in the file longer, like 800 counts if it's a really long piece, maybe 4 minutes or 3.5. But if not, 300 should suffice, or you can go less, of course, if it's a shorter movement of drill. At this point, you can choose your audio file or production sheet if you have one of those two, if you've used that before, which is handy. I don't have one of those for this at the moment. I do have my audio file ready in my production sheet. I'll show you the audio file and syncing as part of this process a little bit later. So I'm just going to leave that for right now. I'm going to click next. On these, if you have a template that you've saved in the past, there's templates here for sound sport, national championship parade marching, lots of templates here. Later on, we're going to save this as a template file so that you can use it every time. Grid layout, of course, if you have a grid that you prefer, you can navigate that. It should be in the kind of the usual, list of grids that you can choose from, NCAA or college or high school, that sort of thing. You can pick your venue if you want to be in a big stadium like Lucas Oil Stadium. I like to pick day for my sky because I feel like it's brighter when you go to the 3D. Any sort of ground or surface that you would like to pick, all of that stuff is here from previous versions of Pyware. You can load in ones that you use. If you've created them, I've got lots of ones that I've created in the past. Lucas Oil will do that. We can pick that. So these are ones that I just have. You can play around with that. Hit next. And this is where it goes to casting. Now, I always skip this because when I write my drill, I like to create my opening set, my opening form in groupings. So I'll just stage the color guard first, and then I'll put the winds in, or stage whoever is most important where they need to be. So if you didn't want to do that, you could already kind of start this. You could say, I have 6 flutes, and you put your flutes in here, and they'll show up in the file in kind of a block to get started. But I always skip that because I like to just have a blank canvas to start with. Okay, so that should do it. And you click Create Drill. Now, one of the things you might notice about 3DX as you get into it is you're right into real view, but you're in kind of a 2D space. So if I click and I drag, nothing happens. If I scroll on my mouse it zooms in and out. So that's a little bit different than what we had with Pyware, with the Java version. Okay, so I want to direct you to your ribbon. It could be at the top if that's what you chose. Mine's at the bottom. And if you click on this first icon here, this will get you kind of to where you want, this field surface. So you can have just the grid, just grass, or just the surface. So this is Lucas Oil, this is just grass, and this is the grid. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do on mine, because I have a monitor that is 1080, it's not 4K, is I need to adjust my grid settings because these grid lines are a bit thick and I can't really see the step grid. So I'm going to go to Utilities, Grid Designer, and I'm going to bring my major and minor line, these down a bit. So I'm going to bring them all the way to the left, and I'm going to come back about 3 clicks. 1, 2, 3, just so I can see them. There we go. I can see them now. So that's a lot finer. So if you have a 1080 monitor, this might be a better look for you. And I'm going to click right here on my step grid on the color. And then when the color comes up, I'm just going to move this kind of over and up a little bit. I'm just going to make it darker so that it's a little bit of a darker color. And then it comes through a lot better. I'm going to actually go back to just a tiny bit brighter. There we go. And then I can make my major lines maybe just a little bit darker. So now I have kind of a better looking working grid. I don't know if it shows up so well on the YouTube video if you're watching, but certainly I can see this just a little bit finer. Okay, and I'm going to click accept. So now my grid looks a bit more like what I'm used to. Now I've heard if you're on a 4K monitor that the grid lines come in just by default looking really good. So maybe one day I'll have one of those 4K monitors, but I don't currently at the moment. Okay. All right, fantastic. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to personalize our settings here. Now, the thing that's different about 3DX and about Java was that we had a real view window. And in this, you don't. If you hit spacebar, it goes to a 3D view. Now, if you just click and drag, it does nothing. So there's a lot of new mouse controls that are pretty simple. They just require you to press Control. So if you press Control on your keyboard, then you click and drag, you can move your camera around like you would have in real view. And then if you click and use the right mouse button, you can move the camera around. So left button kind of adjusts the angle. Right mouse button adjusts the location. And if you ever need to get back to the center, you can hit this recenter camera target down here on the bottom. Okay? Great. So I'm going to hit Control, left click. I'm going to kind of zoom this up. Now, one of the things about Real View before was that it had the surface on it and your grid didn't. So what I'm going to have you do now is hit spacebar again. This is the mode that you are most likely going to want to right drill in, a 2D top-down look. So if this looks the way you want it to look, go down here to this number 1. This is your staging preset and double click it. Saved your staging preset 1. Now go to set 2, just click 2. Now by default, it might go to a surface. It might have the grid like this on it. If you don't want to see the grid, if you kind of want to see what it used to look like with Real View where there was no grid, it just had your surface, that's how I like it. So I like to just kind of have mine off center a bit, add an angle, and then I double click on the 2. And now I've got my 2 presets. So this essentially is your Real View mode. And then click on 1. This is your writing mode. So now that you've got your writing modes, I'm going to show you how to hotkey on your keyboard a way to switch between the two quickly. So if you go up here to Utilities and you go to Shortcut Editor, and then you click here on Copy. This has all the default, hotkeys. So, cut, Control X, copy, Control C, Control S for save, that type of thing. Hit copy and then type in a new shortcut profile title. So like my favorite profile or something, whatever you want to make it. Okay. So now you have license to edit these, all these different things that you can do. Now there's a way to kind of sort them. If you look down here, animate, this shows you all the animation ones. So how to play the drill, you can do that. It's Alt-A. You could change it if you wanted to. Console, so this would be changing your step resolution. And then this one, display. So that's what we're looking for. So recall stage memory 1 is your writing mode. Click on the pencil and you can shortcut it. Now, in my case, I'm going to use Alt-1 because it's kind of close to where your thumb is and your middle finger. So when you're kind of running and you're working and you've got your mouse and your keyboard, it's easy to kind of go between the two, Alt-1, Alt-2 on my keyboard anyway. If you have a Stream Deck and you have your Stream Deck connected, you should just be able to press the button and it will assign it automatically here on the prompt. So this is where you would type it in. So for me, I'm going to do memory 1 as Alt-1, hit OK. Click on memory 2, Alt-2, OK. And then I think I'm good. So if I go to Alt-1, that's my writing mode. Alt-2, there's my real view. So without having to click anymore, I can go back and forth between the two. Now, the next thing I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you go and create this into a template. So what you want to do is, because you've got this all personalized now, go to File, Drill Templates, Create a Template. Now don't call it something like default template because there's already one of those saved in there. So call it like my favorite settings or something like that. Or if it's high school, do high school hash, default high school hash, or default college hash, whatever, and then click save. And then that way, when you go back to do any future file, you can use that in the file wizard as your template, and you won't have to customize the grid again. You won't have to customize these cameras, any of that type of stuff. So that will save you a lot of time. The next thing that I like to do when I set up a file is I like to go to the page tabs next. So I have my my movement count sheet. I've got all my stuff that has been provided to me by the directors, the color guard people, the winds people, all the people that have me writing their show. I've got my count sheet, and then I put that in next. I usually do it before I sync a drill to the music. So down here in the right corner, just like before, is a page tab editor, and you can click on this lock, and it will unlock this count track at the bottom. Okay, now there's already a page tab at count 0. Okay, and then I like to go to right here in the corner to new tab and start adding my counts. So it's a little bit funny because this first one that says count is the count in the drill for this page tab. So say if you wanted a very first move is a 16 count page, it'll make this count in the first dialog box be count 16. If you add that, then now you've got a page tab at 16, which is great. If you want to add your next one, say it's an 8 count move, you would go to count range 8. So this first dialog box is kind of where the counts are in the whole file. So you won't really need to, I don't know, for me, I don't really use this bit in my writing. It's just the count range of each page that I want. So say I want 8, add a new page. It'll go with what you did the previous set. So in this case, we'll do maybe another 16, new tab. See, it's 16 again, but see, we're all the way up to count 56. So don't put in necessarily your page tabs here in this first dialog box. It's this second one. Okay. Now, to be honest with you, I like to do this kind of the old-fashioned way from Pyware because I'm an old person. So I like to just click on the lock, and then I just go along the bottom and put them in 8, 16, 8, 8, 12, 16. And you can see right here the little box that has the number in it to tell you what your how long your move is. So I like to click along the click track, and then when I'm done, of course, I hit save. And so now I've got all my page tabs in, and here's where you're going to hit Control S, and it will save your file. So your file will be saved. So once you have your page tabs in, whether you do it the way with the dialog box or whether you just click the lock and go along the bottom and click them, that's your way of doing it. The next bit that you need to do is sync your file to music. So down in the bottom left-hand corner here are 2 music notes. If you haven't selected the audio file in the wizard like earlier, it'll pop up and say, there's no audio file selected for animating with music. Do you want to select it now? Yes. You can go to wherever your file is. Remember, this needs to be a WAV or OGG file. So you can convert that using Audacity, which is a free software, or you can even just type in Google MP3 to OGG converter, and usually there's several different kinds that you can do, and you put your file in and it converts it. I've got mine here. It just says the movement 3 with percussion click. I'm going to pick that one or double click it. Do I want to sync it now? Yes. So this is the sync menu. I like to tap my space bar to the beat. So what you do to start this process is you click here on this big button. It says start when ready to tap. So have your other hand ready to tap, and then you click start. Now, my audio file has a click to begin. So I'll get the tempo in my head before I'll start to tap, which is handy. And in this case, I can see the waveform down here, and I'll see that all these prep beats will be the ones that I wait, and it's not till here is when the actual song starts. Wherever you start tapping the space bar, that's where it's going to start syncing up with count 0. So I'm going to start, wait with my space bar. Then when you're finished, you click finished. Now, as you go back, you can see that the prep beats are before that first page, and you've got everything synced up, and it should work just great. Hopefully you can see as well, as you are tapping the space bar, the red lines at the bottom were adding the beats to the waveform, and then every once in a while you'd see your page tab at the bottom come in. And that, to me, is helpful. I like to have my page tabs in so that as I'm clicking, I can see my page tabs are lining up with the music. So if I get to the end and I notice something was off, I can adjust these to match, or fix them so that they line up with the music properly. Next, you'd hit Control S to save your file. And now you have a file that is saved, that is synced, that has your page tabs, and has your presets so that you can go back and forth between writing and seeing the drill in 3D. And that should hook you up perfectly to get started writing. So I hope you found this guide helpful, and I hope that you can like and subscribe and come back to my channel to find more Pyware 3DX videos. There is lots of new and different stuff, different ways to do things from the way that it was done before in Java. And I hope to help you to come along on this journey to learn some of these new things and to use all of the amazing new features that 3DX has to offer. Take care. We'll see you in the next video.